What's up, football fans? Welcome back to another video, and it is time to have a look at game week 3 of the Premier League. Game week 1 and 2 had some surprises here and there and some really exciting results, but game week 3 was even better than before. The weekend was kicked off with a fixture between Arsenal and Brighton and Hove Albion. Both sides had 2 wins from 2 and they were looking to keep their record perfect. However, an early start from Arsenal looked really great, and then Declan Rice was handed a yellow card in the first half, and just as the second half started, he had a bit of an altercation with Joel Feltman, where he went in for the ball after a free kick that he was taking, and he was handed his second yellow card of the game, leading to his red card. In the 58th minute, João Pedro ended up scoring the equaliser, and that was how everything ended up, and they had to share a point, as they couldn't stay perfect. The second game of the day saw Ipswich Town take on Fulham, and it was the second week in a row that Ipswich Town drew first blood in their game. However, Fulham equalised through Adama Traore, and he was assisted by Anthony Robinson, who had quite a good game, and Fulham and Ipswich both held on for 1 point apiece. The next game of the day saw Brentford take on Southampton, and it was another game where Southampton were dominant in terms of possession. However, Brentford got a goal through Brian Mbeumo in the 43rd minute. He completed his brace in the 65th minute, and 4 minutes later, Yohan Wissa scored the third goal that basically put the nail in the coffin. And in the 90+1st, Southampton grabbed a consolation goal by Yukinari Sugawara. The next game that followed was probably the best one of the day, an absolute thriller to watch. Everton started the game off well. In the 50th minute, they ended up pulling in front with a Michael Keane goal assisted by Dominic Calvert-Lewin. 7 minutes later, Dominic Calvert-Lewin would grab his own goal assisted by Dwight McNeil, and Everton were going strong right until the 86th minute, until Antoine Semenyo struck back and he pulled the goal back for Bournemouth. We went into added time, 90+2. Lewis Cook pulled the goal to level the game, and then the man who assisted him, Luis Sinisterra, a ball was crossed to him by Justin Kluivert, very similar fashion to the one that was crossed to João Pedro in the game between Brighton and Man United, and Sinisterra headed into the back of the net, and Bournemouth won the game at the death, literally at the death, and it was an absolute brilliant game to watch. This game was followed by Aston Villa taking on Leicester City, and Amadou Onana and John Duran both bagged more goals they've already scored this season, and that was in the 63rd minute when it was made 2-0, and in the 73rd minute, substitute Facundo Buonanotte came on and grabbed a goal for Leicester City, but it was too little too late, as Leicester were unable to finish off the chances, and they weren't able to get back in the game and try to win it. Wolverhampton then took on Nottingham Forest, and Chris Wood struck again in what is turning out to be quite an exciting season for him and Nottingham Forest in general. A lot of shots taken on their side as well, but 2 minutes after Chris Wood's goal, Wolves equalised through a Jean-Regner Bellegarde goal that was an absolute stunner, and the game just kept on going. It was toe-to-toe, and none of them were able to finish off, and they ended off with a point each. The final game of Saturday saw Man City take on West Ham, and it was known that Man City would be able to put some goals past West Ham, but in the 10th minute, Erling Haaland struck to score yet another goal, and 9 minutes after that, it was an own goal by Ruben Diaz to make it 1-1 between Man City and West Ham. However, at the 30th minute, Haaland scored his second, and he completed his hat-trick in the 83rd minute. And this is an amazing stat now. Erling Haaland has scored 8 hat-tricks in his Premier League career. That's 8 hat-tricks in 69 matches for Man City. And Sergio Aguero has the record of the amount of hat-tricks in the Premier League, which is 12. And I think he did that in just over 200 games. I do speak under correction. But Erling Haaland is 4 hat-tricks away, and he's currently scored about 71 goals for Man City. 70 or 71 in his 69 games. And this season, he is currently top scorer, and we are going to have a look at that later. Sunday started off with a game between Newcastle United and Tottenham Hotspur, in which Newcastle grabbed the lead first, and as the game progressed, in the second half, Dan Burn scored an own goal in the 56th minute, and Alexander Isak finished off the game in the 78th minute. The reason why I say finished off was Newcastle won this 2-1, but it was another game where Tottenham Hotspur wasted their chances, and they were not at their best. It was the same thing that they did in the first game against Leicester City, didn't take their chances, and they were punished today because even though they came away with a victory against Everton last week, they were unable to come back in this game against Newcastle, wasting chances. The second last game of the day saw Chelsea taking on Crystal Palace, Cole Palmer coming in clutch with another assist, and Nico Jackson grabbing another goal. And I think that is 2 goals in a row now. That's 2 games in a row. Last week against Wolves, picked one up, and he's picked one up against Crystal Palace as well. But then obviously Eberechi Eze, the man who Crystal Palace kind of depend on for moments of magic, ended up scoring the goal for them. And that's how the game ended, 1-1. Both sides couldn't capitalize, and we didn't have a winner. Another point, a lot of draws this weekend. The final game of the day, probably the biggest one of the day, probably the biggest game of the weekend. Manchester United taking on Liverpool, a bitter rivalry, and I think this one was more of a service to the fans from Liverpool because they came to Old Trafford, and if you watch this, I'm a United supporter, but I will say that Liverpool had the game. It was theirs for the taking. A beautiful game from them, beautiful football, and I can't even be upset about it. The football that they played was just, it was end to end, and they kept on pushing. United were pushing up towards Liverpool's box, but not really taking any chances, wasting the game. And I think there were a lot of times where Rashford slowed down the play, but with Liverpool, Mohamed Salah, Luis Diaz, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch they all did a great job. Everyone put in a good shift, even Diogo Jota. But Mohamed Salah had an absolute game. He could have had another goal. He could have had a few more goals. Luis Diaz had a brilliant game as well. When Nunes, he also had some moments that were great. But Salah picked up 2 assists and a goal, and Luis Diaz picked up 2 goals. So we will have a look at what this means for the top goal scorers and that. So now that we've completed that, it's time to have a look at the league table. In 20th position, we have Everton, 3 games played, 3 defeats, -8 goal difference and 0 points. Southampton dropped down to 19th place, 3 games played, 3 losses, -4 goal difference and 0 points. Wolverhampton Wanderers went up, getting 3 games played, 1 draw, 2 losses, -6 goal difference and 1 point. And just above the relegation zone in 17th position, we have Ipswich Town, 3 games played, 1 draw, 2 defeats, -5 goal difference and 1 point. Crystal Palace going up as well, 3 games played, 1 draw, 2 defeats, -3 goal difference and 1 point. In 15th place is Leicester City with 3 games played, 0 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses, -2 goal difference and 1 point. Manchester United in 14th place, 3 games played, 1 victory, 0 draws and 2 losses, -3 goal difference and 3 points. 13th place is West Ham United, 3 games played, 1 victory, 0 draws, 2 losses, -1 goal difference and 3 points. 12th place is Fulham, 3 games played, 1 victory, 1 draw and 1 loss, 0 goal difference and 4 points. 11th place is Chelsea, 3 games played, 1 victory, 1 draw, 1 loss, +2 goal difference and 4 points. 10th place is Tottenham, 3 games played, 1 victory, 1 draw, 1 loss, +3 goal difference and 4 points. 9th place is Nottingham Forest, 3 games played, 1 victory, 2 draws, 0 losses, +1 goal difference and 5 points. 8th place is Bournemouth, 3 games played, 1 victory, 2 draws, 0 losses, +1 goal difference and 5 points. Now for the final part of the table, 7th place Aston Villa, 3 games played, 2 victories, 0 draws, 1 loss, 0 goal difference and 6 points. 6th place is Brentford, 3 games played, 2 wins, 0 draws, 1 loss, +1 goal difference and 6 points. 5th place is Newcastle United, 3 games played, 2 victories, 1 draw, 0 losses, +2 goal difference and 7 points. 4th place is Arsenal, 3 games played, 2 victories, 1 draw, 0 losses, +4 goal difference and 7 points. 3rd place is Brighton Hove Albion, 3 games played, 2 victories, 1 draw, 0 losses, +4 goal difference and 7 points. 2nd place is Liverpool, 3 games played, 3 victories, +7 goal difference and 9 points. Manchester City in 1st place, 3 games played, 3 victories, +7 goal difference and 9 points. The top assister is Cole Palmer on 4 assists, and you can have a look at the rest. Then in the goal scorers side, the top goal scorer is Erling Haaland with 7, and you can have a look at the rest of the list for now. That's it for Game Week 3. Happy international break. Thank you for watching.